All right, let's get started with chapter 2. 2-1 is basic tools, Cartesian plane, distance, and midpoint. And all of chapter 2 is talking about graphing. So these will be the basic tools of graphing. So what are our skills here? We're going to plot points, which you've done before. We're going to calculate the distance between 2 points, which you may have done before. And we'll find the midpoint, which you also may have done before. Okay, so expand the concept of the one-dimensional number line to 2 dimensions. So 1 dimension that we've been doing, 2 dimensions in the y direction. All right, so here's our summary. If you want to pause and get this down, these are the things we're going to be going through. All right, so this here is your Cartesian plane. Okay. By the way, not plane. Okay. All right, so we have our x-axis and y-axis. The other arrows here got cut off, it looks like. X-axis does travel forever left and right in the horizontal direction, and the y-axis is the up and down vertical direction. And we will call this quadrant 1, and we work our way around 2, 3, and 4 as we move around counterclockwise. So in quadrant 1, x is positive and so is y, and we do write our x comma y in our parentheses. Okay. So this is not interval notation, this is identifying a point on the plane. And so here we would have a negative x and a positive y. They would both be negative in quadrant 3, and in quadrant 4 we would have a positive x, but a negative y. All right, so let's try an example here. Plot and label the points -1, -4, etc., in the Cartesian point, and then we'll make a chart, a table, and we'll talk about the quadrant or axes in that table. Okay, so let's start with our coordinate plane. -1 will go left 1, and -4 will go down 1. Put a point right there. I'm going to label that point A, just so it's easier to do it that way. So that's point A. Point B, 2, 2. So we'll go right 2 and up 2, and we'll call this point B. -2, 3 will go left 2 and up 3. That'll be right there. That's point C. 2, -3 will go right 2 and down 3. So that'll be point D. 0, 5. So we'll go none to the left or the right, but we'll go up 5. That'll be point E. And -3, 0 will go left 3 and none up and down. That will be point F. Okay. So we could make a quick table. We'll say point, and we can just label them by their names: A, B, C, D, E, and F. Almost broke into song right there. And we're going to say quadrant or axis. So point A is down here in quadrant 3. B is in quadrant 1. C is in quadrant 2. D is in quadrant 4. E is on the y-axis. And F is on the x-axis. So we have one of each, all four quadrants and both axes. All right, let's talk about the distance between 2 points. So we're going to do this 2 ways. We're going to logic it out first, and then we will talk about the actual formula. So here are our 2 points: -2, -1, up 2 and down 1. That's right there. And 1, 3, right 1 and up 3. All right. So we want to find how far it is between these 2 points. So what we could do if we wanted to is we could turn that diagonal line into the hypotenuse of a right triangle. All right. And we should remember from geometry our Pythagorean theorem. Theorem. Okay. All right. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared, the hypotenuse squared. So in this case, the hypotenuse is what we're searching for. So instead of the hypotenuse, why don't we say distance squared, right? The a, this side of the triangle, we could say the x distance, use a little subscript, squared, plus the up and down would be the y distance squared, right? So how far is it in the x distance? It's 1, 2, 3. And how far is it to move up and down? We would have to move 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 squared. What's the distance squared? All right, so 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16. Just call this d squared. 9 plus 16 is 25. What's the square root of 25? And if you said plus or minus 5, good job from last chapter. The only problem with that is that the distance cannot be a negative, so we're just going to take the positive version. Distance here would be 5. Okay. All right, so what we've just done is figure out the distance. We can put that into a formula like this. So if we say d squared equals the x distance squared plus the y distance squared, the way we would find the x distance is we would subtract the two x numbers from each other, and then we need to square them. To find the y distance, we could subtract the two y numbers from each other and then square them. That would equal d squared. Since we want d by itself, we could take the square root. So the distance formula is the square root of x squared minus x1 squared plus y squared minus y1 squared. But if you do forget that, remember that the distance formula is based on making a right triangle and going a squared plus b squared equals c squared. All right, so let's try this using the formula without putting it on the plane. So the distance is going to be the square root of subtract your x's, negative 3 minus 5 squared, plus subtract your y's, 7 minus negative 2 squared. So this is going to be the square root of negative 8 squared plus 9 squared. And so we'll have the distance being the square root of 64 plus 81, which is, that's 145. And that's your answer, the square root of 145. Give it a shot. B equals square root of 4 minus negative 2, 4 plus 3 squared, plus negative 5 minus negative 2, a plus there. This is the square root of 7 squared plus negative 3 squared, square root of 49 plus 9. So the distance is the square root of 58. All right, our midpoint formula. What if we want to find the halfway point between 2 points? So what we could do is we could say, all right, what's the halfway point between the x values, between x1 and x2? And what's the halfway point between y values, between y1 and y2? Right? And so that would be the point that's right there, and that would be our midpoint. Right? So we're finding the average of 2 points. Remember that the averages add 2 things up, divide by 2. Add 2 things up, divide by 2. So add your x's, divide by 2. Add your y's, divide by 2. So let's find the midpoint. The midpoint is 2 plus negative 4 over 2, comma, the y value is 6. Don't really parentheses there. 6 plus negative 2 over 2. And so we have negative 2 over 2, comma, 4 over 2. That is negative 1, comma, 2. That's our answer. Give it a shot. All right, so the midpoint would be 3 plus 5 over 2, comma, negative 4 plus 8 over 2. This is 8 over 2, comma, 4 over 2, 4, comma, 2 is your midpoint. All right, that'll do it for tonight's video. We will see you in class.